Yo, how's your week going so far?
Well, man, I just been ripping and running and with everything I'm working on, and obviously going right into this is obviously we're getting ready to start BET week,
Yeah,
and so with events and things like that, it's gonna be crazy hectic with everything else that all the other projects and whatnot that I'm working on or having to deliver on and whatnot. So I'm in a blender.
yeah, it's real. I mean, I don't know if BT weekend is what it used to be in terms of people getting ready. I know the event's still going, you know what I'm saying, which is always cool. But you remember before BT weekend used to literally be, they used to plan about a 3 weeks in advance, like in terms of people wanting, artists wanting to promote their music. There was a whole lot of like, this is the week where if somebody's in town, let's get a remix done, let's get the video done. You know
100%,
what I
yeah,
mean? I mean, even for me, you
yeah.
know, uh, when it comes to like my studio is open, I try to not schedule so much from like Wednesday on up. You know what I mean? Because I know that there's people coming in town, and they may want to block out 8 hours or so. You know what I mean?
I would agree that it may not be like it used to be. Well, one of the things is we're still dealing with post pandemic realities, right?
Right.
So a lot of the industry hasn't quite, as far as like the live part of the industry. When I mean by live, it's like in real life stuff like events and things like that. Still hasn't been back to what it was prior to to the pandemic. Um, I know BT has had some internal changes and things like that, especially when it comes to the BT Awards and whatnot. They've moved it up. It used to be the last week of June. Now
Right.
it's this first week of June. This is the first time that it's this early. So there's that change or that adjustment, I should say. And so I think those are some of the things where you just don't it doesn't have maybe it's the same like feel that you're referring to,
Right.
that it used to have. And I don't know if we'll ever get back to that. The industry's changed in so many ways. I don't know if we'll ever get back, to what it used to be. I think we may be looking at a new normal now.
Yeah, I remember the era where it was like, snipes, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Poster boards, let's tear the whole wall, the whole
Yep.
block up. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the thing. Like, it was dope because that was usually the times when you knew whose album was coming out. You know what I'm saying? Flyers was everywhere. I mean, even it's the new style, but it's like before it used to be people handheld flyers passing out like, yo, come to this event, come to that event. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. So yeah, I miss those days because on top of the majors doing what they do, the independents was not hand-to-hand mixtapes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Get that. I remember the run of the DJ Nick Beans, the what was it? I think it's like what was the West Coast series that they had? I forgot. It was a bunch of different
Yeah,
like
no, I remember that mixtape era, especially in the LA area. Yeah, I know what you're talking about
yeah.
with the New West and all that.
The September 7th, you know what I'm saying? It was so many people. I mean, Fetty Fell had his run as well.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
there's a few other DJs. I know who you're thinking of, and I'm, it's been so long to try to, put some of those names, but yeah.
Right. But that was crazy because you knew you was getting some fire music, but you also knew like there was DJs and artists linking up at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was in tune with each other. You know what I mean? What would be like the new version of that? Like if there was a new version, what would be like the new version of I would say of the promo game and the mixtape game?
Well, I mean, the problem is that what you're talking about were a lot of physical things, right? This predates Spotify, predates actual streaming. So we were going from the CD to the MP3 era of what you're
Right.
talking about. So people were using artists and talents were using the CD as a marketing tool. So they would print them up and whatnot, and then they would hand them out, right?
Right.
To get their music, heard and distributed, and to kind of build their buzz, while they look to find ways to do elevated business to maybe eventually get on iTunes and things like that. To actually sell the actual MP3 of original music. So a current, the thing is I don't know if you could do a modern day, if there's a modern day version of that, because everything now is pretty much digital, right? And
Right.
once you put it up and whatnot, it's everywhere.
Right.
So the local / regional opportunity of what you're referring to, of building that buzz, with the series of mixtapes or what have you, isn't quite the same, because we don't, like I said, there's no hand to hand, there's no physical and whatnot. People record their music, and for people who don't know what we're talking about, the music that people were doing back then, it was still original music. They were just doing it with these mixtape DJs. Right. Now someone does original music and they just upload it, through DistroKid, United Masters, TuneCore, whatever, and this is out and it's everywhere. So I don't know if there could be a modern version of that. You know what I'm saying? Also, right. I don't think we have the same local kind of like regular venues that you guys could go to and whatnot. That's even become more and more niche and specialized in that way too. So I don't even think there's even local opportunities for opportunities for local talents and things like that, even if they had something to try to like push and promote in a physical way. So I don't know. I think it's just we're just living in a different era, different time, and we can't go back to that.
Right. I mean, even like, what would, in your opinion, what would be the ideal like approach for artists? Because you working with so many different artists, getting their brands together, really putting their profile in the forefront for the right reasons. You know what I'm saying? What would be an ideal approach in today's time for like a BET weekend or like an all-star weekend, things like that? Like what would you tell an artist, of course, without giving away all your secret sauce? You know what I mean?
I can give away the secret sauce. People aren't going to do it because it's going to require work. So I mean, right. I can tell you A through Z. It doesn't matter. People aren't going to do it.
Right.
If an artist and their team could be organized enough, right, and they wanted to take advantage of the BET week, right? One of the things that would be some low-hanging fruit that no artist really takes advantage of is the DJ, right? The local DJ. And if they could get their music, ready, when I mean by ready, obviously, recorded, mixed, mastered, all that, and then get a proper DJ pack, right? And then service the DJs. And what I mean by service the DJs, like start, getting it to DJ pools and trying to get it to, DJs in different, who have different, platforms within the city, and whatnot. Try to get it to them. So let's say if BET is going to happen in June, you want to start getting it to DJs, I would say late April, right?
Right.
Let them have it for a little while. And then as an artist in your team, you're promoting the song, whatnot, from that whole time period. So by the time BET week comes, it's in a rotation of a DJ, right? And so, that's something that, would be, a tremendous advantage, because with the fact that you have people flying in, to LA for the events and things like that. And you have other people who, who live in LA / Hollywood, but aren't from the city, transplants and whatnot. If they're now in certain environments where these DJs are playing, and now this DJ is playing a local artist song and whatnot, with the beauty of Shazam, right? That's why we all want, Shazam is such an important marketing tool. Now a song can start to kind of, grow and get awareness and take advantage of of the week, because there's several different kinds of events going on during BET. You have your normal every week events that DJs and promoters have. Then you have special ones where they're doing showcases with out of town labels coming in to do showcases and whatnot, but they may grab a local DJ and whatnot. You also have the brand sponsored, events, that are going to happen the second half of the week where they're grabbing actual, DJs. And then if any of the major labels are still doing any parties, any official parties, things like, and before you know it, there's all these different kinds of events going on throughout, from let's say Wednesday through Sunday night, right?
Right.
That's an opportunity right there for artists to take advantage of. But like I said, you have to be early on that. You have to be, you have to plan it out if you really want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, like I actually told an artist like 2 weeks ago, they're gearing up to promote their new record, and I was like, yo, pick 5 to 8 DJs. I just pick 5 DJs and then really lock in with them, like really lock in, like whether it's giving them the records early to add to their rotation, or actually Badru said this one thing where he was like, yo, hit these DJs you closely know, and do like a version that got a drop for them for the MP3. You know what I'm saying? Like, how we used to do, like we used to low key put a DJ's name a part of the actual song. That MP3 is just for them. You know 100%. What I mean? So they could spin it on their time. You feel what I'm saying? Like just those certain things is like you said, like being able to pre-plan and lock in with these DJs, and even just befriending them the right way. Like, dude, a lot of these rappers, like, y'all just keep trying to get these rappers' numbers. Is that what y'all doing? Y'all trying to be friends with rappers? Your competition? Is that what y'all doing? Like, why are you not calling your DJs and say, hey man, what's popping? Or just calling them on their birthday, or just really being, of course, genuine, but also at the same time, it's like you got to know who you need to target, who you need to be in cahoots with. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's funny because I think that's the reason why, like, on top of us being cool and being friends, like I call you because you deal with another half of the business that I don't deal with every day. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm constantly doing music, and doing a lot of the musical creative groundwork. And then you do a lot of the brand strategy, marketing, artist development and things like that. So when we have conversations, it's always, coming from 2 different perspectives, but at the same time, like we always work in a different fields, you know what I'm saying? Which is important. I try to tell artists all the time, like, call your engineers, you know what I'm saying? Call your producers, call your DJs, call the dancers, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, you don't have no dancers on your line? Like, you making party music, but you have no dancers on your line you can call. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, that's been a well, I'm gonna defend the rapper in this.
Nah, don't do that. Nope, don't do that. Don't do that. Nah.
Let me tell you why.
All right, man.
Their job. See, you're talking about another job. Their job is to create.
Right.
Everything that you're talking about is managing the relationships.
You're right about that.
So whose job is to manage relationships?
I mean, if they have the manager.
And if they don't, then yes. But it actually is another job. It's what you're also stating in a different industry is take a chef who creates the food, creates the menu, and whatnot, and then you want them to be equally as good at serving tables.
Well, no, not necessarily. I'm not saying that they should be equally as good. I'm saying that in the midst of you doing music, you still have to.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. You do, but the thing is what I want you to understand, it's a mentality. It's a thought process.
Right.
It's a thought process. You think you're saying something that's an obvious thing, right? I'm not disagreeing with you, but if your brain isn't wired that way, if your brain is to be the person, to be, I'm the man, I'm the star, I write the music, I create the music and whatnot, and everything you're talking about is coming from a place of proactive humility, right? You're talking about proactive humility, right? And I'm not suggesting that no one should have that. I'm just saying, let's just be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If that's what you're suggesting, it's just you're going to be disappointed every time because most artists aren't going to do that. Now, I think when an artist is in front of somebody, a DJ, a dancer, all these people that you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the midst that if someone else has kind of brought them to these people and whatnot, then in those moments, yes, I believe 100% they should build, they should exchange numbers, look for opportunities to maybe participate, collab. But the pro activity that you're talking about, it's just not a reality.
Right, but in my opinion, the game has changed. The same way an artist would say, don't box me in, or someone's not doing this for me. I think that being proactive on tapping in with DJs or other people that can help what you got going, I think that actually makes it makes your manager close deals a lot better, in my opinion.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, but you're not understanding what I'm saying. You're talking about a very specific and not just a specific. You're talking about the rare, creative and the rare artist. It's so what you're saying. You think something that's extremely like obvious, right? It's like, oh, that's obvious, right? Another thing that's obvious, from a creative standpoint is time management, right? We all have smartphones that have calendars, clocks, alarm clocks, blah blah blah. There's reminders, there's to-do lists, there's all these things, there's notes, all these things in a smartphone to be organized.
Right.
How many artists that are actually organized in their life?
Oh, 1.5%.
1.5%. So if that same 1.5% can't be organized and they literally have the device in their hand all day, every day, what you're asking for is not even in their device. It's that same 1.5% that's going to see the benefit of what you're talking about. So what I'm saying is, instead of talking about the obvious with what they should do, let's just talk about the reality. That's not going to happen. So don't expect it, is all I'm saying. Because I'm not disagreeing with the thought process, the ideology of what you're saying. You're 100% correct. But let's be honest. Let's talk about an actual reality. I have an artist. I'm not going to mention his name. He literally does not know how to use the calendar on his iPhone. It's not set up a calendar on his iPhone yet.
Crazy.
Right?
I mean, yeah. Even for my clients, like I have the calendar and the reminders. And I set it up. I like put all of the things that need to be done with the actual schedules of when it need to be done. And all I do is send it to them as a collaborator. So when those notifications come up, they just come up on their phone as well, which like I said, I agree. I
have clients where they just share their calendar with me and I just put things on their calendar.
Right. Exactly.
We take it one step further. It's like, let me just put something on your calendar with the reminders, with the address, with the blah, blah, blahs and whatnot. But like I said, that's me in my role, thinking logistically and whatnot. So, the things that you're saying, artists should do is kind of like, I mean, yeah, but it's just,
you're right. You're right.
I've been doing this a long time. I'm not going to expect humans to just change.
Right.
They weren't doing this 20 years ago. They're not going to do it 20 years from now. You know what I'm saying? It's just It's just not in the nature of how their brain, reacts in the chemistry of their brain. It's just not that you're just not going to get that.
No, you're right. You're right about that. I can't knock that. I'm going to always, hold these artists, especially the ones that come in a context of like, I want to do more. Yes. I'm going to hold them to that. You know what I mean? That's just naturally me, especially just coming from doing a lot of independent things. It's like, nah, if you want to be better, I'm going to hold more things on your head. But I do want to ask that question because you definitely brought up a good point. But I would ask you so that people can know what is your what are your like three things that you need for an artist to do? Let's say Silas is gonna sign on this particular artist, but it's three things that you need to do as the artist to be attractive enough creatively for Silas to say, "Hey, I want to manage you."
First and foremost, I need to see a work ethic that has already existed, that if I don't work with you, you're so determined to be successful, you're gonna do it with or without the fact that I participated. Like you're so ambitious in self that you're not waiting for someone to come in to participate in career changing opportunities. You're just gonna figure it out yourself, right? So first and foremost, it's a it's a work ethic, but a determination of success. Um, I would say second is either a natural understanding or a learned understanding of the music you make and why it's been good so far, and how you can continue to make it, and you can continue to make it even better with more resources, right? So what I mean by that is sometimes an artist will have a record that's out of here, and it's a viral record, it's a hit record, it's blah blah blah, but they don't even understand why it was so good. They just got a beat from somebody, jumped on it, rapped it, whatever, and it took off, but they don't even understand the elements of why it was so good, right?
Right.
So therefore they can't replicate that for themselves because they don't even understand it. They had the success and they don't know. They just thought, oh, it was good because I'm amazing. It's like, no. There was actually some things in that particular record that if you always kind of do those kinds of things going forward, more times than not, you're going to have success, right? So that's what I mean by either they have a natural ability or a learned, ability of how they make their music and why it's been successful to a certain degree and how it continued to be successful.
Right.
And then the third thing is the understanding of know what your ultimate goal is for your career,
Right.
and know that I'm here to tailor my my approach to you to accomplish that goal, right? So if I suggest you should do X, Y, and Z, it's not because it's my ego or it's my my way or the highway. It's like, no, you have this goal of this end goal of success. I'm suggesting things that's going to get you there, not what I think you should do, things of what you said you want to do.
Right. Okay, let's stop there.
It's kind of like a form of coaching in a sense. Like, for instance, just if you're a star, if you're a talented basketball player, right, and your goal is to be an all-star, your goal is to be a Hall of Famer, or it's like, how do I get there? It's like, oh, these are the things that you need to continue to do, work on, blah blah blah. And because that's the goal. If the goal is just to be, hey, I just need to make as much money as I can in this career, okay, that's a different goal. We need to do these other things, So it's understanding what your goal is, and that I'm here to help facilitate that.
Okay, I want to hold it there because that's a very interesting point. So there's if anybody knows my career, they know the work that I've put in. But what I like to ask artists, and I'm very, very serious about this, only because, like you said, I want to scale where your brain is at as far as what you want to do and where you want to go. It's not very direct because you like you said, like you're having a conversation about them about what you actually want to do. A lot of times, certain artists, when I work with them, they don't have a finger on the button of what they actually want to do. But I've done this a couple of times before, and I've asked the artist, like, do you want to be a good artist? Do you want to be a superstar, or do you want to be a megastar? Right. And I usually ask them that pretty early, and I kind of reiterated over the course of, I would say, 2 or 3 years or so. And the reason why I ask that is because, being a good artist is, you're good at what you do. You know, you put in the time, put in the effort, in the workload for the most part. But you like you said, it's a specific goal that you're looking to do. You're not looking to be, you know, on top of the world, but you do want to be a good artist, have a good career, do your thing. I think that there's some artists out right now who are good artists that make some good money when they drop albums. They tour, they make probably like about 5 or 10,000 per show. They probably end up doing, you know, 40, 50 plus shows per year. You know what I mean? They have a good family, they do their thing. There's nothing wrong with that, which is, it's actually more ideal for that to occur than, you know, the other levels. Then, you know, I'll talk about, like, do you want to be a superstar? Now, superstar, you put a lot more dedication. Also, there's elements of high sacrifice that come into play. There's also levels of there's certain parts of your career that needs to be managed by someone else to get to where it needs to go. You're also thinking in terms of being a brand. So there's other elements of your artistry that is not music that you're going to tap into. And, you know, I asked, like, do you want to be a superstar or do you want to be a megastar, which is, you know, first and foremost, the highest level of sacrifice, the highest level of dedication, hard work, making some decisions that you don't want to make, but you have to make it in order to get to this necessary plateau. And just really locking in on another level. This is when your dreams are so destined to you that you block everything out. You know what I mean? And I ask artists this, especially when we're working on a music campaign, like, do you want to be either one of those things? And the answer, whatever answer, you know, they usually say, I want to be a megastar, I want to be a superstar, or whatever. Yeah. And I tell them, like, I need you to really think about it. Like, go home, think about it, take a couple of days, think about it, because the path that we're about to be on is reflecting of what you want to see. And I think that goes back to what you're saying, is like, you got to be ready for this type of shit, man. Yeah. You got to be ready for it. You know what I mean? And especially, like, you know, I'll get this example. Let's just take, what's the dude, Jacquees? Let's take Jacquees, for instance, right?
Okay, R&B artist. Yeah.
R&B artist, dope artist, make fire music, he do his thing. He might get paid probably like 30,000 or so, 20, 30,000 for a feature, probably a little bit more. You know what I mean? Shows, he probably might get like 40 or 50 a show per se, you know what I mean? But when you look at his performance, he's performing, he do a good performance, he get the crowd in tune, but he's not dancing. Then you go to Chris Brown. Then you see, is dance work a part of it? Is showmanship? And I'm not taking nothing away from Jacquees, but what I'm saying is that's another level of being a star. Like, he's embodying so many other things. It's a difference between getting 50K a show and getting $1 million a show. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that starts with the mentality of wanting to, like, Chris Brown wanted to be a mega star when he started. Yes. The effort that he put in. People, if you know the stories of the work ethic he put in, you know, being in the studio every day and then, you know, rehearsing twice a day. Like, that's a real thing. And it, like I said, it just goes back to, you know, and this is the time when I was managing artists. I don't do that no more. I don't manage artists no more. I do more of the music management, which to me is more so important to the structure of what Local Astronauts does. Is more of the music, but still the conversation for me, I need to have a conversation with the artist regardless if, you know, we're doing the music management or not. You know what I mean? Got you. No, I'm with you. I agree. Yeah. And first off, we'll get to that transplant shit in a little bit. Don't worry about that. We're gonna get to that. Y'all not finna keep disrespecting us. You're not finna do that.
I'm always gonna do. What are you talking
about? but I do want to gloss over What's up with these rap battles, man? What's up, man? We gotta get to it. We gotta get to this rap battle, man.
I mean, isn't that the essence of the culture? Is the battle? I mean, it was started off on the blocks in New York where DJs would break
There you go.
making break beats and rappers would be
There you go. You trying to throw shots? There you go.
I'm not even throwing shots. I'm literally saying, isn't that what just the birth of the culture is?
No, yes, for sure. But was it a good idea for Rayvon, for Daylight? Shout out to Daylight, that's my guy. For Reason, was it a good idea for them to jump in the battle with Joey Badass, knowing that clearly Joey Badass was trying to send a message to Dot? What was it good for them? Did it work out for them in the end?
Okay, so it worked out for Rayvon tremendously.
Okay,
because his exposure was heightened and elevated immediately, right? Mm-hmm. I would imagine if you probably looked at his streams, any analytics of his socials and whatnot, I'm sure there was a tremendous jump in the Rayvon awareness and consumption.
In the YouTube, I know that for sure.
And I would imagine even in the streams, because remember he had just dropped a new mixtape, new project, right? So I would imagine that he got nothing. I think he came out, it was all good for him. Like it was, I mean, regardless of if he felt like he won or lost, his overall professional exposure was tremendous.
No, you're right about that.
You look at someone like a Daylight, who's a legendary battle MC, battle rapper and whatnot. I'm not as in tune with the origins of the origination of this particular battle. I mean, I know Joey Badass said something about West Coast dick lick and whatnot, which was a throwback to a whole line and whatnot, and that's kind of what that thing started. But I remember hearing. Like I said, in the Red Bull cipher that Joey Badass was in with Ab-Soul and Big Sean, it seemed like he had a few bars for Daylight in there. So it's kind of like I felt like he had to engage and whatnot, right? Reason had just engaged when he heard his name later being utilized in a bar with Joey and whatnot, and so. I don't think they had much of a competitive choice unless they were just like, nah, they're just gonna just turn it down, right? It's like, nah, I'm just not gonna even engage. But I mean, as an MC, right? And we're talking about there's rappers and there's MCs, right? As an MC who's cut from that cloth, I don't see how you don't participate if one is mentioned. Now, did they need to jump in from the too much West Coast dick licking and whatnot? Even though Joey was really talking about how everyone is responding to Kendrick, Not Like Us, GNX, right? Do they need to do that? Need to? No, but from a competitive, but just a pride, right? Just being proud to be from the coast. If someone says too much, West Coast dick, say, hey, why are you taking a shot at us? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're having a moment. Why can't we have a moment? Blah, blah, blah. And so I can understand why people would want to, jump off the porch and get active and whatnot. With that being said, I thought Joey, handled himself quite well. So
you think he won?
I mean, yeah, I think he won, but I will say this. Yes, I think Joey won, but Rayvon, went toe to toe and whatnot. I just think that with Joey, and I know a lot of people felt like maybe Daylight had some maybe excellent bars and lyrics, and especially I think one of the second joints he dropped, I think it was like AO or whatever. The thing about, in my opinion, and I'm old, I just turned 47, so I've watched and seen a lot of battles over the last 30 years, right?
Right.
Of my music consumption. One of the things that stands out in any battle, it's not just the lyrical component, it's the showmanship, right?
That's
It's
key.
the delivering, the wittiness, the and all that. And so you can be technically a very technically sound rapper in a battle, right? And you can say things that are kind of like, oh, these bars are very potent, blah blah blah. But it's it's the things that just shock you. I was having a conversation with somebody about, if you look back at the Pac Biggie thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We remember how Tupac starts Hit 'Em Up,
Yeah.
right? No one remembers the actual bars or lyrics of Who Shot You.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a fantastic Who Shot You is a fantastic record.
It's fire. It's fire.
We don't remember but you remember how Pac starts. First off, fuck your bitch and the click you claim. It's like, damn.
The better records and battles have always won. It's always about the better records.
The better records. Sometimes artists focus on the bars and whatnot. So they'll pick a beat and it's a real like lyrical miracle beat. And it's like, yeah, but it ain't a joint, it ain't a jam. Like not even a joint, a jam. Just it's not something that's just entertaining, right?
Right.
When you have, a battle or a diss on and the song is well, made, like there's a hook, you know what I'm saying? There's wittiness, there's entertainment components of the beat, To use an obvious example is Not Like Us, right? We could say that Kendrick had more lyrically potent disses to Drake in that, right? Euphoria,
yep.
Obviously Meet the Grams. Meet the Grams might be one of the most sinister diss records, I think, in the history. It might be the the most sinister diss record ever in rap music history.
I still give No Vaseline that title. I give Not Like Us.
I'm not talking about like I'm talking about Meet the Grams. I'm saying the most sinister.
As far as sinister. I still got to give it to No Vaseline because in that time,
So we'll say we can agree that maybe Meet the Grams is like a top 3 sinister, right? Anyway, my point though is but the record that stamps this battle is Not Like Us.
For sure.
Great hook, great beat, you know what I'm saying? Danceability, blah, 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 right? If you take out, here's the thing about Not Like Us, if you take out all the diss parts of the record and you
it's still a great record.
And he just writes any other verses, it's still a hit record.
Still a great record.
And so that's the thing. So going back to, the Joey Badass and with Rayvon, Daylight, and Reason, I thought Joey did a good job of making records that were kind of like, yo, this is actually pretty good, and he's getting with these niggas, like he's getting with them, you know what I'm saying? Right. He's giving it to him, he's responding to him, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, whoo. So
a lot of people talk about the 20v1 type of shit. I don't care about none of that. My point that about this battle, I feel like first off, Rayvon's album was incredible. So I wasn't even really interested in listening to the Rayvon diss tracks to Joey because his album is already fire. The music that he put out was already fire.
Very impressive.
So I was lightly tapped into his music, his current music. So I was like, I don't really need to hear this because I'm tapped in already. But then, Daylight has been, he legendary, you know what I'm saying? But for the past, I would say 5 to 6 years, he's been crafting himself to becoming a better artist in the context of like putting out actual music and doing this thing. I think he's been working with that for so long. So when these disses came along, like my number one question was, who gonna make the better record? Because it's not really about winning at this point. Like you said, if somebody take a shot at you, you're gonna take a shot at them. But we've seen on public display once again how a battle can turn into a great celebratory thing when you have a great record. And I was waiting for Daylight to have a great record. And I was waiting for Like we would love to hear throw all the dishes you want. We not even concerned about your lyricism. We already know you finna do your thing. If you don't call one of these people to say, hey, come put a hook on this, like make a dope song, because that's the plus for battles happening. If you go way back to The Bridge Is Over, remember, KRS-One was not the artist at that time. He wasn't the one. When he did The Bridge Is Over, oh my God, he ended up being the guy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So that's my point. I'm like, I think that they missed the assignment. You know what I'm saying? I think Daylight Reason, there's a couple other people. I think that
I don't think Reason missed the assignment, because he had one bar that was mentioned to him. He came back, and I thought he had a very good response.
And then
that was it. And then that was it. He didn't need to go.
But also you got to keep in mind, Reason just left TDE. We're all waiting for Reason to come out with a stellar record. The number one, and I don't think I'm saying anything that nobody hasn't heard. The number one thing that has been like a light stigma over his career so far is that you don't remember one solid record. So for Reason, I'm like, hey, give us that one joint that we can remember, and you do it around this battle time. I'm not saying it's over. I'm saying do it around this battle time, because right now, like, Dot is still finishing his tour, doing amazing records. It's still a celebratory thing for the West Coast to just put out stellar, dope music. And the summertime is here. Y'all not finna give us no summertime bops. We gotta just play Dot all the time. Like, give us the shit that we want. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying they missed the ball on that assignment, because during that beef time, like you said, it's the highlight of awareness. It's the most time anybody's gonna listen to you. Give us the shit, man.
So here's the problem with people like you, Rob. Can I be honest?
You're damn right. Yes.
You don't appreciate the ability to make the record. And what I mean by that is the reason why there aren't more hit records by everyone who makes music is people don't appreciate the artistry of making the record. Okay. You think just because someone is talented and artistic, they can make a record. And people who continuously make records often are discounted in their talent and artistry, because it's like, oh, they keep making commercially viable records, pop records, blah, blah, blah. But to be able to do that more than once in your career is not an easy thing. And people that continuously able to do it, right, we don't appreciate what it takes, even if they don't even write their songs right now, and they're just being presented with records. Even being able to find the records that have the ability to be a hit record, and then being able to deliver that as an artist, you still have to, as a recording artist, you still have to deliver that. Just because you're given a hit record doesn't mean it's going to be a hit if you don't like deliver it in the recording process.
I know that. But go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
I think when you look at someone like a Joey Badass, right? I think Joey Badass has played himself small and short his whole career, and now has the ability to actually be the real face of New York rap. The thing about being the face of New York rap is not being the lyrical miracle backpack, pro era guy. It's like, no, you gotta. And if you notice, he's changed his style, he's changed his look or whatnot. Exactly. Now you got to be the track master / evolution elevated version of the Diddy era. You know what I'm saying? Even though that was that hasn't aged well, but you got to be like that guy. It's not the who shot you, crack commandants, it's the juicy, like, where are those records, right? And if you listen to Joey Badass's last album, the one where Static Selected did like a lot of it, you heard the elements of like, yo, he could be the guy if he was more intentional about some of these records, right? In the battle, I think we finally got to see the charisma and the star power of him. Now, can he take that momentum in this next album and be like, yo, I'm really the New York rapper. I'm the guy from New York, right? In comparison, you know what I'm saying, to everybody else we mentioned, from the LA perspective, the West Coast perspective, these are all the homies. I fuck with all of them, but we don't necessarily see them as artists that could be like the guy out of LA in a sense. They're talented MCs, they can make great projects. They might be able to make a record here and there at some point, but that's not what we've expected of them and whatnot. And that's not the path that they've chosen for their career in their artistry either. They've decided to be artistic MCs. Okay. So that's what they've decided to be. And then you're over here saying, where's the record? Where's the joint? It's like, well, they haven't really ever, said that that's kind of what they wanted to be. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't change or pivot, right? They can change and pivot and go that particular route. But you can't underestimate the ability to make a record. Making a record is a very difficult thing.
No, I agree with you on that point. Like, we're saying the same thing. I think the difference is that like you may have information that I'm not privy to, which I'm okay with. But what I'm saying is
that is true. I just
right. What I'm saying is, I think that Daylight has been working on trying to become the person who puts out great music fully away from the battle shit.
Yeah, I think that he's
on his right. So what I'm saying is, all of the records that he put together, they were long lyrical records. They didn't have no hooks on them, no nothing. I'm saying that he should have showed some of his evolution in this music, because a lot of the beats were there. Man, if you don't put a hook or something on it to bring it full circle, like, do those things you've been working on for 5 or 6 years with the TDE squad.
But I think in your analysis of what's going on, I think you're not understanding the difference between a battle rapper battling and a song maker battling.
No, I understand that, but those
are two different mentalities.
No, for sure.
Song maker battling and the battle rapper or the MC battling, those are two different.
No, I agree with that, but what I'm saying is, when you look at the history of hip hop, the popular record works. You just watch Dot do it with the popular record. I'm saying, even being a part of that camp, I'm saying incorporate some of that in that. Like the one thing about Joey, from the beginning where he first started the first freestyle, his objective wasn't just to go at Dot. His objective was to reinsert himself back into hip hop. Exactly. In my opinion, that was his objective. However he goes about doing that, make it to where I'm back in this hip hop. Because before that, anybody was like, if you put out something as Joey Badass hip hop fans, we gonna fuck with it. As far as the fans of TV, hey man, put that pen down and come and do this acting. So when he started his remember, he dropped 3 freestyles and it didn't go nowhere. It was like, whatever. West Coast, they celebrate. We all celebrate. We doing what we doing. So that was a one moment. Then he took some more shots, but he didn't lose his thought process of, I have to reinsert myself and I'm going to make good music. He got 3 songs that are actually songs that sound like it got replay value. Yeah. All I'm saying is, the artist, aside from Ray Vaughn, because I think Ray Vaughn had his album out before and it's already what it is, fire. I think the other artists should have kept on a path, because I'm pretty sure Reason is working on to be, regardless if you say he don't want to be, I'm not saying he's saying it. What I'm saying is, regardless of you or anybody feeling like he may not have the skills or capabilities or even the drive to be the one, I think he can still make a record that can be memorable. So implement that in this battle. They like do the same thing. Everybody,
I think Reason did, and I think you're discounting the second half of his diss record where Low the Great did the beat and they redid the Fat Joe Ja Rule. The Fat Joe, right, where they took the New York sample and then put the.
I like that part,
and so I think you're underestimating. Like, he gave us that, but it was also in the midst of. And I think that was a very good response, by the way. I mean, I thought it was very good. I thought it was well done.
Yeah, dope response, fine.
And so, but I think Joey was just being Joey, right? And Joey was ready for everybody and had shit lined up and had shit kind of in the vault and things like that. But here's the thing: is I think those moments happen, but also I believe, and I remember I said this to an A&R in the industry last year, and this guy did not agree with me at the time. I said I had listened to that Joey Badass last album, and I was like, yo, I think Joey could be the king of New York if he was just intentional with his records. But that's not just a talent thing. It's a charisma, it's a star power. Right. The reason why he's working on, it works for him to be on TV is he has star power. I mean, think about his career outside of not having a hit record, right? Right. He's a well-respected MC. He's now a respected actor. He has a beautiful woman in his life. Right. I don't know if they're married or whatnot, but I know they're expecting a child or whatnot. He's like a rapper that men respect and women would want to be with, right? He's got all of the things, right, except for the joint, except for that, And so I think with him I think Joey's a natural star. I think everyone else we're talking our talents. I think Joey's a star who hasn't lived up to his star capability.
No, you got a point there, because
I think everybody else are great talents. I think everybody else that we're mentioning, they're great talents. Like, they're all talented cats who have the ability to even have more in their career. I think they all have more in their career ahead of them. But I think Joey just naturally just has a star element. Like, people, like, for instance, people know who Joey Badass is without knowing his music.
Right.
I know people from New York who be like, yeah, I never really listened to Joey like that, but they know who he is. He's just one of those guys that, like, he just kind of just got it.
Right.
He just hasn't lived up to it.
I'm the other way around. I've been a fan of Joey Badass. I've never seen no power, nothing.
Me neither.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm the other way around. You know what I mean? But no, but I agree with you. I
think the thing about this particular battle is, I think we had great talents of the West Coast battling him, and I think he's a star that hasn't lived up to his full potential.
Yeah, I really, for me, I just think that he stayed on the path and the others didn't. Stay on the path. That's the rule.
Here's the thing is, he had an agenda.
Right.
He enticed people. He knew what he was in. He was leading his agenda. Everyone else was, he was, okay. The difference is he was proactive. Everybody else was reactive.
For sure. 100%. We agree on that 100%.
So when someone is proactive, they've probably got a plan. They've got an agenda. They've got a strategy, blah, blah, blah. When you're being reactive, it's hard to have a strategy when you're reacting to something.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
If I was to start trolling you on social media, right? And out of it, someone's like, damn, Sallis is really getting that poly, blah, blah. And then you're going to try to react to me. It's like, but I have a strategy on what the fuck I want to do and say to you on social media.
Right.
You could try to keep up with me and whatnot, but it's going to be in response too.
Right.
I'm giving it to you. Bam, bam, bam. Right. So I had a strategy before I started. I knew exactly what I wanted to do to you. That's what I'm saying. Proactive and reactive is very different. And I'll even go back to the Kendrick Drake thing, right?
Yeah. Who was proactive? Who was reactive? Out of all the information you know.
So they had their subliminals for years and whatnot, right? Going back and forth. But when Kendrick does the like that verse, he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that's going to entice this guy to fully, overtly engage.
Right.
Kendrick was proactive.
100%. 100%.
And I think, when like that comes out, I think it was like March of last year or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. He knew exactly what he wanted to do throughout the whole thing. I think Drake, who had been in a few battles himself, the Meek, the Pusha T, won one, lost one, blah, blah, blah. I think he thought, I'm just going to keep doing the thing that I do. Right. And whatnot. And I think Kendrick expected him to have that strategy and had a strategy to beat that strategy. So one was proactive, One was kind of reactive, but reactive in a way that, I'm just gonna keep doing what I've always done,
right,
and whatnot. And you see the result.
Now, even with that, and we're not gonna gloss over this too much. Kendrick was proactive, but that don't mean that he started the beef.
No.
I still think Drake started the beef.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the saga of those diss records.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just those diss records. I would say Kendrick was proactive in like officially saying we're at war.
Right.
And then had a strategy throughout. And I think Drake was like caught off guard, like, oh shit, there's no big three, it's just big me. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I got something for you.
We're gonna talk about a few more things because I know you gotta go. I know you got meetings. Really quick. I gotta say this. I gotta say this live. You are a witness. You are a witness to when Polly Rob predicted that Dot would get a Grammy off the battle. You're a witness.
Yeah, you said that.
We had this conversation. And I said that if Dot got a Grammy for this rap battle, he would undisputedly have the title of the best diss record of all time.
Yes.
Before that, for me, was No Vaseline, because any person who can destroy an entire group with one song, Ice Cube, he got that. But when you win in 3-4 Grammys, and I'm pretty sure he's finna get as many BT awards as he's nominated for.
Yeah.
This will undoubtedly be first off, it's the best rap battle in the history of hip hop. And he has the best diss song ever. And to be honest with you, I think in the top 5 diss records, I think Meet the Grams is going to catch up to The World when you listen back to it. And I think that's going to probably be top 10 too. In my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think, Meet the Grams is definitely, like I said, we have to see if how certain things age and whatnot, that were said in that record. But like I said, it's a tough listen because it's so like dark. It's
very dark. It's very dark.
It's like you have to like really like get into a space to be able to engage in that in the energy of that particular record. But yes, I never disagreed with the potential of Not Like Us and being in the grade. But see, the thing is I was always coming from a place of culture because I knew the importance of Dot working with Mustard.
Right.
And
we had that conversation before, and you nailed it on, man, for real.
So when it happened, I'm thinking, oh, when that song came out, I was like, it's over. Not the battle, the reemergence of LA cultural musically. It's like, yes, the face of Los Angeles wrapped on the sound of Los Angeles, and now people understand what we had 30 years ago with Doggy Style, Death Row, whatnot, because Snoop wasn't necessarily the face of LA at the time. He was a new young artist and whatnot, but he was an absolute star working with the greatest producer in hip hop who was from Compton and whatnot. And so when they did that shit, it was like, oh my God. And it was culturally pervasive.
Right.
Even though you can go back and talk about there was a New York West Coast, battle or issue where LA music wasn't being played on the East Coast and things like that. Right. In the streets and whatnot, people were playing Doggy Style. It was an amazing, album. And then other West Coast music was being played at the same time and whatnot. But because the biggest, emerging star of LA and West Coast was on, the sound of what we do, which we at the time were calling G-Funk and blah, blah, blah. And when you look at regional rap is at its best when the most popular person of that region is on the current sound of that region together, and they have and then culturally they're making that and whatnot. And it's like, oh shit, that's why we like this region at the time, we like that region at the time, blah blah blah. It's because the star and the sound come together.
Right. No, I agree. I agree 100%. I think this is a great point in West Coast music. I think everybody that's coming from the West, transplant or not, should put their best efforts into what they do now. Release your music, put your best strategies together. I want to see more collaborations. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody who's doing a lot of collaborations with music, especially on the West. Like I've seen a lot of, even with us with Local Astronauts and Dole Networks and even like you guys and DJ Head, shout out to Head. Like it's a lot of collaborating with different people. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's excellent. Then we need to all put our best foot forward and do that. You know what I'm saying? Last thing, let's get to this transplant shit, man. It's too much disrespect, and I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. It's too much. First off, I want to say that I am a transplant by way of divorce. You know what I mean? Love my parents, but of course, parents go through divorces. And because of that, I have lots of family in LA, lots of family in New York, you know what I'm saying? And just by way of divorce, we had to shift gears. You know what I mean? I'm saying that to say that I think that there's two types of transplants. There's transplants that move by way of circumstance, unbeknownst to their control. And then there's transplants who just naturally want to see something better. So they come out to the West Coast.
Undoubtedly. There's undoubtedly a different kind.
So my thing,
Rob, you've never been a transplant. You're like a corrupt transplant.
Right. There you go. I'm that for sure.
So here's the thing is you're fighting the wrong fight.
No, I'm fighting the same fight. Let me tell you
fighting the wrong fight because you think when people say transplant, they're referring to people like you, and you're like, no one's referring to people like you.
No, but what I'm saying is, see, I'm gonna fight for the transplants for one reason only.
And my suggestion is you shouldn't, but go ahead.
You're right. But let me just go for it. I'm doing that because I really feel like there's some people who get a significant amount of time in both places. I think the ones that you judge are the ones who haven't had significant time, especially in LA. You gotta give LA time, like for the good and bad reasons. When you come to LA, the first thing that people from LA notice is that you haven't been everywhere yet. You haven't seen everything.
Yeah.
You haven't even experienced. If you stayed here for a week or 2 weeks and you try to figure it out and you're willing to move, you ain't seen everything yet. And then number two, it's like, and I've trust me, I've seen the transplants who talk shit about LA. I've seen that a lot. Those people don't realize that there is a certain thing to be comfortable at home for you to even see certain shit. That's just like me coming over your house, right? I come over your house 1 or 2 times. It's nice over here. It's great. But I can't go in your refrigerator. I got to ask you to go in your refrigerator. Hey, can I go to the bathroom? You know what I mean? But then there's a time where I've been over your house plenty of times. So when I come over, I'm comfortable. I might walk in and go in your refrigerator before you. Now I'm starting to see certain things. I'm starting to see how the family operate. I'm starting to see the type of things that we do, the conversations we have. I'm coming up early to come decorate for birthday party. Like it's a different feel. So you don't see the same thing when you come in to live for a month or two to see if it's nice, as opposed to actually being there and seeing some of the nuanced things. You know what I'm saying? Even the way we go out to go party and shit like that. Like, let's say me and you go to an event, right? We go out to an event, we go in, we go do what we do, and we probably gonna be gone by 11:30. If we even reach 12, because we wired that way. But somebody who just coming in want to see the whole experience, want to stay till 2:30, want to do all this other shit. Even in employment, it's a certain way when you're working at a job. When you're working at a job and you're a transplant and you coming in, you're looking at everybody for what they can do for you. You're not trying to create community. You're trying to get on. You're trying to do your thing. And I think a mentality of somebody who just trying to get an opportunity and get on don't understand the jewels of what LA or New York has to offer. when they moving the way they moving. I think if you change the way you move, when you in a city, when you change the way you move, then you start to see the jewels of the city, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And the transplant thing is not an LA thing. It's in every major city.
Right.
When people go to a major city, because, you know, there's a lot of discourse in Atlanta right now about transplants and things like that, and you know, Atlanta culture and so on and so forth. What it is it's someone coming into a city, right, for most likely economic opportunity, and having the expectation of where they came from to be present in where they're going.
Right.
And that's always the wrong mentality to have. Don't expect what you came from to be where you're going.
Right.
You know, you came from something, you know what that is. That's where that is. When you go someplace else, you need to understand that you're stepping into the culture of that, whatever that is. And especially if you're going for the economic opportunity of yourself to go to another city, another place, you know, it's spiritually disrespectful to not ingratiate yourself in that, because it's like you're literally coming to pillage from and not exchange with, right? And if you don't go in understanding like, okay, I'm coming to this city, a la Los Angeles, and it's very different than the city I'm coming from, a la Cleveland, right? Just picking a city, right? You know, Los Angeles is probably not going to resemble Cleveland in many ways. Doesn't take away from, you know, the beauty of what Cleveland has to offer for the life that you had there for the first 25 years of your life. But now that you're in Los Angeles, it's a much different city. And you're here to profit, right? You're here to profit, to grow, to all these things. To not take the time to be like, okay, to investigate and ingratiate yourself in that particular city, you know, a la Los Angeles. You're here, your why isn't pure in a sense, right?
Right.
When I travel, you know, to, you know, different parts of the country and whatnot, I don't expect to have an LA experience in those cities.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't expect that at all. I expect to have, when I go to New York, I expect to have the New York experience. When I go to Vegas, I expect to have the Vegas experience. When I go to, you know, Houston, I expect to have the Houston experience, and so on and so forth. I don't even expect to have an LA experience when I go to like San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Same state,
totally different.
Very different. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, it's I'm here in this area, in this new city, and it's like, okay, what makes this particular city great? And I think here's the thing. I think every city has something special that makes them great, which is why people stay there and have a whole life there.
Right.
To go someplace and be like, this city is whack, is very disrespectful to those who are like, hey, I've been living here, you know, my family's been here generations and we think it's great. It's like, who am I to go to a city and be like, oh, this shit is whack and blah, 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 when people have been there 100 years, you know, and have participated in the culture of the city and things like that. Just because something is different doesn't mean that it's whack. It's just different. And specifically to Los Angeles. Los Angeles is I would say is the most different city in the country, because our brand or what we're known for is something called Hollywood, which is literally an industry of make-believe.
Right, exactly.
So when people talk about how fake LA is and whatnot, it's literally the business to create something that doesn't exist for the purposes to, you know,
to entertain.
Production. Like we're literally just producing, you know, a lifestyle here. So people come here, and people and some people who are from here or who get into the business, our business is business of make believe. And so you have an issue with something being fake. It's like, but our business is make believe. Like, why would you expect, you know, for instance, Pittsburgh is known for being a blue collar town. They're the steel town, blah, blah, blah. You don't expect Hollywood in Pittsburgh. So I wouldn't expect Pittsburgh in Hollywood.
It's the when in Rome effect. When you're in Rome, you do what Rome people do. You know what I'm saying? That's the, like, you know, when I'm like my like third home, I guess, is, you know, New York and LA is, you know, two. But then like, oh, I love Ohio. Like, shout out to my boy Lex Lou. You know what I'm saying? Priceless Music. Like, I love going to Ohio, Akron, Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Because their culture is different. You know what I'm saying? And I love to indulge in what they do. They even in sports, like I go to the Ohio State game. It's like it's like 50,000 people that are all family, like they all together. You feel what I'm saying? Like it's a different energy. You know what I'm saying? It's a different approach. So that my experiences has always been what does the city indulge themselves in? I want that. Like even like it's funny because I never had an actual real taco until I came to LA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I never had nachos until I came to LA. Yo, first day I got to, because I've been to LA for like summer times or whatnot. Like I went to Boys and Girls Club and stuff like that during the summer times. But then when I like officially like sat down, like margaritas on Crenshaw, the Mexican spot.
Mm-hmm.
First time I had chips and salsa. That shit was incredible. I'm like, what is this? And my dad like, just be quiet, eat your food. I'm like, what is this? And then I got that big wet burrito. That shit was crazy. But I'm saying, like, that's what LA is good for, best for. Just like, you know, New York and the hot dogs, the pizza, the whole culture. I don't even think that New York has the best tasting pizza, but they got the best pizza culture. That's what's important to me is about the culture. What is the culture here? And then also, last thing, what are you offering the city? When you come into somebody's city, what are you offering? Especially if you're trying to stay. So to all the transplants, no matter where you at, what are you offering the city? For me,
should be an exchange.
It should be an exchange. Mm-hmm. For me, when coming out to LA, it's like, okay, musically, you know, and you can hear it in the music that we do. Musically, I like to add some of those heavy drum elements in the music. Sometimes in the pop records. Sometimes I like to add heavy drums in an R&B record. Those are those elements I learned from LA and from New York. You know what I'm saying? Like how to actually mesh the two. A lot of my production reflects that. That was my offering. That's my offering to LA. Also, that's my offering to New York, is being able to bring those funk textures, you know what I'm saying, to New York samples. You know what I'm saying? It's about what you got to offer. You know what I mean? And I think that's the one thing that people miss about transplants is transplants come to new places looking for new opportunities, not understanding that you may not have nothing to offer. And that's probably the reason why you're having a hard time. You know what I mean? And I start with, you know, this last thing I'm gonna say, I always start by when I walk into somebody's house, you got to give an offering. That's just the rule. You know what I'm saying? That's just the rule. What you got coming up new, man? What you got coming up new?
And I'm always working on something. So right now we're looking to wrapping up the new Zoe Osama album. Coming later this summer. He hasn't announced the title yet, but that's coming. So shooting videos and you know, wrapping that up, getting the mixes done. Also, DJ Head and Gina Views are going crazy with it.
They going crazy.
It's going crazy.
They going crazy.
The industry is finally catching up to the star power of Gina Views and whatnot. And so I'm fielding calls on a daily basis on people wanting to work with her, collaborate with her and whatnot. And then the show is just growing and growing. And so Head and I are always looking to figure, you know, to continue ways to scale that and, you know, and truly be a real, I think we're officially a player in the national media, but now just like really have a true seat at the table in national media as far as what Effective Immediately is been doing. Like we're still less than a year in. You know, we're about to come up on a year in the next couple of weeks here. So that, and then just, you know, I've been working with, you know, people like, you know, Ali, Mixed by Ali and his engineers platform. He and I got some things that he wanted my help with and whatnot. Long time, you know, friend, and obviously he's a staple in the business, and I love what he's building. So, you know, he and I have been working on some stuff, and so I got I'm part of a label, you know, a New York-based label called The Program with my guy SY. And, you know, he's, you know, finding all the newest young talents all across the country, you know, to help platform them and things like that. And so, you know, he brought me on board earlier this year. to utilize my industry knowledge and expertise as far as navigating the industry, the label system, all of that, media, obviously, you know. So working with, you know, with them. So the thing about me is, man, I just stay busy, man. I just, you know, I'm always got something going on, something to do, and I love it. I love every bit of it.
Man, you know, I don't think people realize how much impact you have on just the culture and the energy of, you know, what doing the right things in the music industry is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think people understand your value. You know what I mean? I want everybody that's watching this to just go do your homework. You know what I'm saying? To be honest, I'm not interested in keep trying to tell y'all how important the people I talk to are. I want y'all to do your homework. But one thing's for sure is, you know what I'm saying, Sallis is a staple in the music industry, and he knows 100% sure that Polly Rob make the best tacos in the world. Off top. No lies told. Tell me I'm lying. You can tell me I'm lying before we all. You can tell me I'm lying if you want.
I officially have no comment on the matter. For political reasons, I have no comment.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying the first time when y'all was on my head about it. For political reasons. You know what I'm saying?
I have no comment on the matter.
You already know. I appreciate you, man. You know, you always welcome on the show. You know how it is, man.
Hey, man, you know, all I ever need is an invite, and I'm pulling up. You know what I'm saying? Just let me know. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes. Oh, give everybody your social media real quick. I forgot. We got to do it particular.
So simple. If I'm on it, it's going to be Sallis Money. SALLIS MONEY. So, you know, if there's a social media platform that I'm on, that's what the handle is going to be. Sallis Money.
And spam is LinkedIn too. Spam is LinkedIn.
Please do, because I don't fuck with it. So yeah, you know what I'm saying?
All right, man. Hold it down.
All right, thanks, man.
WORKLOAD.